Yo, what's going on, everyone? Sorry, just a little late today. I was recording Open Ice Hits this morning with Kevin Durso. So there's going to be a Open Ice Hits episode up later on today. That's why we are just running a little bit late, just because we ended the podcast and started a little bit later than normal because of me. I made the mistake. I'm the problem. I'm the issue. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Coffee with Brodes. Today, we got a Sixers game to talk about tonight. I'm super pumped up about it. We have, what else do we have? Oh, that's right. The Philadelphia Phillies are red hot, baby. They're red hot walk-off after walk-off after walk-off after walk-off. It's amazing. Pretty damn exciting. Yeah, the NBA games were on last night as well with the Utah Jazz and, of course, the Brooklyn Nets. My God, what happened at the end of those possessions where Kevin Durant ain't getting the rock? What are we doing there? I mean, there's no way that was by design, right? There's no way that happened because they wanted that to happen, right? You can't be telling me that that's really how it is. It's crazy. It's crazy. Luke Williams. Yes, that is correct. Luke Williams is correct. Before we get going here today, of course, enjoy our coffee together. That's our motto. Let's enjoy our coffee together. I don't know when that started, how that started, if I say it the same way every time, but that does naturally feel like that's the right thing to say. So let's enjoy our coffee together and take our first sips. I wonder how many people actually sit here and take the first sip with me when I say that. Do I just say that to say it and nobody else actually does? Or do you take your sip of coffee with me at that point? I would love to know. Ooh, so damn good. So damn good. Let's see here. I'm excited. The Clippers are down 0-2 again. What's new? This time they're going up against a team that can hang with them from the perimeter. Yeah, I agree with that, Savion. I really do. This is different. And Donovan Mitchell's balling. I think Donovan Mitchell has learned a lot about some of the past playoff experiences where he needed to pick it up, and he learned. He learned from those losses. It's painful. It's brutal. We go on and on about this every single damn time. I listened to Stephen A. Smith talk on John Clark's podcast, the Takeoff with John Clark, or I believe that's the name of it. Yeah, Takeoff with John Clark, and he was basically saying that Joel Embiid losing to Toronto with the quadruple doink is truly what changed everything for him, changed his mentality, where he realized this is not just a game. It is just a game, but it's not just a game. There's a lot more to it, and that you need that. You need that loss. You need that heartbreaking, gut-wrenching pour of emotions for you to change the switch. And Donovan Mitchell, I think, when they lost in years past, kind of went through that as well, where he was going through the tough time, or he was trying to figure out what exactly, he needs to do to get over that hump, for sure. Jameson wants to know if I think Ben Simmons will score 25. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not even close. I'd be stunned. Stunned. I don't know what I'd do if Ben Simmons. If Ben Simmons drops 25, geez. I think Ben's going to come out real hot defensively, though, just to try and shut everybody up about the defensive player of the year. So he needs that. He's a motivation guy. He needs outside sources to get him into switching gears to being the elite Ben Simmons that should happen every single damn night because of the consistency of his own personal brain getting himself amped up. But that's not necessarily the case with Ben Simmons. He needs that extra power behind him for him to step the hell up. So I think the whole defensive player of the year conversation is going to fuel him. So he's going to put on a real good effort on Trae Young. I also anticipate, though, seeing a better game from Trae Young and this Atlanta Hawks team. You're going back home. Now, I know that the Wells Fargo Center in Atlanta are not going to have the same type of atmospheres, but it's going to be loud. It's going to be toxic for the Sixers. It's going to be a tough atmosphere to play in. And with the Hawks going back home, I think they're going to play better than they did in game 2. I definitely do. My guy, Nicky Egan, comes in. Sixers at -1 is a joke. The last I saw was -1.5. Now, there's two ways to look at that. If the Atlanta Hawks were so good, would they be favored at home? If the Hawks had a serious chance, would they be favored at home? the other side of that is when you look at a 1-point line, it's so tiny that's basically telling you this is going to be back and forth. It's going to be on the seesaw, as Mark Zumoff would say. So, -1. What the fact that it's the fact that it's so close and so tiny is that basically admitting that this is going to be a last second shot. This is going to be one of those games where you're not going to have any breathing room, and maybe the separation doesn't even go as high as 6 points for whatever team's leading at that time. Like, who knows? Maybe 6 is the biggest lead between both teams. I do think that this is going to be a tight battle, but if the Hawks were that great, would they be the favorite at home? That's just the question I'm asking. But I will admit that it's not a big line. It's not a line that in game 2, it was -6.5, right? That made me feel good. Game 1, it was about 3.5. That didn't make me feel good. So, being on the road changes that, though. It changes the dynamic of the numbers, or you're going to clearly be a smaller favorite on the road than you would at home. That's just basic knowledge. But it's interesting. It really is. Mike McIntyre chimes in. Completely agree about the 1-point favorite. Still think best shot was game 1 and better team wins out. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I do agree that, look, the better team is the Philadelphia 76ers. They are the better team. I'm not afraid. Like, I don't think the reason why we come back if they end up splitting in Atlanta is they couldn't handle the crowd and the atmosphere was so brutal that it was overwhelming. I don't think it's going to be to that level of going on the road, but something tells me that this Hawks team is going to be gritty. And if I just feel out my gut, all I'm telling you is this is how I honestly feel in my stomach, that the Sixers are going to split in Atlanta. It's going to be 2-2 heading back to Philadelphia. They'll win game 5 and then they'll win game 6. So I don't know if that's game 3 or game 4 that's won by the Sixers. But if I'm just telling you how I honestly feel, that's what my gut tells me. What's happening, Avery? What's going on, man? Thank you so much for hopping into the stream, hanging out with us today. Green says, give Ben a team where we winning with ease. I don't know what that means. What are you saying, Green? Give Ben Simmons what? Sacred Gaming. I'm surprised Atlanta has fans because they choke every single year. Yeah, but the Atlanta Hawks are different. I think the Braves have their pedigree. They have their background to support everything that they've done. And I think the Falcons are starting to grow in terms of legitimacy, just in terms of longevity and history and things of that nature, even through the painful Super Bowl loss. The Atlanta Hawks are a little different. They're like the fresh new toy. They're like the newer, I mean, I don't know if to say newer, but 1946, the Atlanta Hawks were. I'm basing this off of people, though, who've been around the Atlanta market before. Like John Kincaid just came over from the Atlanta market. He's the morning show host at 97.5 The Fanatic. And one of the things he was talking about, he was there for years and years and years doing sports talk radio in Atlanta. And he was like, the Hawks are like that cool new kind of, they're that fresher thing. Like the Braves have their history, and the Falcons are somewhat growing into their history a little bit more, and they've done a good job. The Hawks are sort of that fun thing to do. It's not so much the history of the Atlanta Hawks that drives you to be this major fan, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to everybody. But yeah, I mean, the Atlanta Hawks, 1968 is when they became the Atlanta Hawks. So pretty much, close to 1970. I guess that's a fair assessment. I think we're on the right track with that. Giannis's airball and free throws is cool. Giannis is taking 10 seconds for him to 13. It ended up being 13 seconds for him to even get his free throw shot off. And he was shooting the threes. And it was not good that he just kept popping them at will. He eventually made one. I think it was his 7th one that he made. He started out 0 for 6. Then he decided to pop another one. He ended up making it. And then he tested another 3 later, and it was ugly. But that entire game was hideous. No one could get flow. They tried to force Kevin Durant over and over again. Isolation. Let's see what he can do. And that's basically how you run an offense in 2021 NBA. But what happened late with the Nets possessions, what are we doing? Like, who do you think you are to be taking those last-second shots? And by the way, I did think that Kevin Durant was going to make that final one that clanked off the back part of the iron. I thought that was really close. I mean, I think it was pretty damn close, and you could tell by his facial expressions. And something that stands out to me, and I'll tell you after this sip, but something that tells me it shows the veteran leadership, it shows the professionalism, it shows the maturity of being able to handle your emotions in a playoff loss. Okay, this is what it is. When Kevin Durant doesn't make that shot and he walks back to the tunnel, back to the locker room, there's something to be said about how you handle yourself in defeat. Big difference between losing in game 7 and losing in game 3, where the series is now 2-1 still in your favor. So I think that you're allowed to have that outpour of emotion when you get knocked out of the playoffs because you care so much, because you pour all your energy into it, because this is what you train for. This is what you put all the hard hours in for. And when you lose, it's painful, and it's going to make you have this instant reaction of upset, frustration, all of it. So I'm not talking about game 7 or game 6 or losing a series. I'm talking about middle of a series, you lose. So Kevin Durant, they're up 2-0. They lose after a shot that was very, very close that would have tied the game. It didn't. And he just walks back to the bench, walks back to the tunnel, walks back to the locker room, gets a high five from his coach and goes, all right. But it's the way that he handles himself. It's just the difference in maturity of understanding the rock and roll and the rock and back and forth emotional pool that happens in a series. You're going to have these losses. The Bucks are a good team. You knew this wasn't going to be a 4-game series. You knew that this would be tough. All you have to do is win one of these 2 games in Milwaukee. Then you get to go home with the chance to close it out. So maybe that's his perspective on it. But the way that he missed the shot, his demeanor, his body language, his facial expressions, the high five from the coach, the walk back, I think everything just shows you like there's confidence there. No worries. No hesitation the next game. No nothing. All right, we're good. We're good. We didn't have it tonight. We're good. We almost won this game when the Milwaukee Bucks sucked. The Bucks offense was egregious. Both teams' offenses were pathetic throughout, especially that fourth quarter. I was watching bricks and watching bad shots and watching all this poor nonsense. But the demeanor of Kevin Durant, I thought, said a lot. I'm not having that conversation right now, Jim Andrews. Jim Andrews says, am I listening to Ben Simmons' offers in the offseason? Yes, but I'm not having that conversation. It is not the time to have that conversation. $2 coming in from Philly fan in South Dakota. Luke is a breath of fresh air. How about Phillies versus Yankees? Thoughts on Phillies versus Yankees? Well, the Yankees handled business against the Twins, but they had that blow up against Chapman, and it's funny. There was someone in my chat when I was doing the Phillies post-game stream. I did it live with the podcast. And let me know in the chat if you like that, by the way. I've been doing some podcasts lately. I did see a comment saying my volume's a little low, and I can change that for the live stream. But I basically, instead of doing post-production and recording the post-game show and then uploading it after I export it, I've just been doing it live and just rocking with it. So you can come in and watch me do that live. Let me know your thoughts on that. But someone mentioned that Hector Neris stinks. I'm over him. He's horrible. This and that. I'm like, stop acting like there's 7 billion amazing closers out there. Closers fail. Closers blow a lot of games. Hector Neris is just an average guy. He's an average closer. That's all he is. And then you see Chapman. Yeah, but Chapman doesn't do that. Oh. Chapman doesn't blow saves, huh? It happens all the time. Now, I'm not telling you that Hector Neris is on the level of Chapman, but I'm just telling you that there's not a billion people available. You know, there's not a billion elite closers available, and closers blow games. You know, it's just the reality of the situation. But yeah, that was crazy. With a snap of your finger, somehow the Yankees lost the game. I mean, it just literally a blink of an eye. Josh Donaldson, of all people, who was getting mocked because of the whole Garrett Cole situation when he was getting struck out by Garrett Cole. And then I think it was Nelson Cruz who just let one rip. But the Yankees won the series anyway. I'll tell you what, though, Zach Wheeler is ridiculous. Zach Wheeler is amazing. It really is absurd to watch him pitch. The slider with the cutter, with the fastball, all of it. I mean, the curveball's dropping now, too, which is just fooling guys consistently. You're playing a guessing game. And Zach Wheeler is pitching from ahead, constantly getting the first strike, then constantly pounding the strike zone again. Now you're down 0-2. Once you're down 0-2, your success rate has significantly dropped. I don't have to sell you how that works, but Zach Wheeler is dynamite, man. Dynamite. It is incredible to watch. Man, a lot of people are talking about the line. Jip comes in here and says Sixers -1. Even being on the road, that line seems low. I tend to agree. It does seem a little low. And if that's low, that makes me wonder. It makes me wonder. Vegas sees something that's giving Atlanta a decent shot tonight. Maybe it's just the fact that you're on your home floor. You're back in your own building. Your fans are there. Maybe they think, hey, look, after game one, the odds shifted where it was very close in terms of the series. The Atlanta Hawks and the series, it was extremely close. Who was going to win? Both teams were in the same range. So it's basically telling you that Vegas sees this as a super close series. And I don't know if maybe they're just misjudging this because they act as if they don't get anything wrong. No, they get things wrong. They do. They're not batting 1,000, but they bat a good percentage. They bat a very good percentage, and they know how to suck you in. Is this a part of them maybe sucking in Atlanta fans or sucking in people to think that maybe Atlanta has more of a chance than they do so they can win some money on Atlanta? Like, oh, look at this. The line's small. Maybe we should look Atlanta's way. Maybe we should bet on the Hawks. Like maybe there's an element of that because there is some sort of mind game they play with it too. So let's talk about that side of it also. Jip continues, and I mean, we did see it last night with that Nets-Bucks line too after winning by 40 the previous game. Now, I did not see what the line was, Jip. What was the line to start that game in Milwaukee? What was the line? Because that will be very telling. Well, I mean, Nathan, in general, you're going to be less of a favorite on the road than you are at home. So it's going to swing one way. It's sort of like the standard football line. When you're on the road, you automatically start at +3. Okay, then what? Then how does the line move from there? So there's a set base of being on the road in general that now makes you have to look at what changes there. So the Bucks were favored at home 3.5. Huh. Yeah, I did see that because I think it was a bad beat, right? Because it ended up being a 3-point game, so wasn't it a bad beat, or were there some free throws afterwards that happened that boosted it up? No, it ended a 3-point game. That's right. I did see the bad beat. So yeah, I think that there is yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I'm curious how this plays out with this Sixers game now. I really am. Green thinks we are winning with ease in the A. Okay. I don't know if they're going to win with ease. I think this is going to be a close game. Daniel says that he asked the question, can we be more physical in Atlanta? Probably not. I mean, they're having a hard time being physical in Philadelphia. So if you're having a hard time on your home floor being able to play that style of play, it's probably going to be only worse when you hit the road and you play in an opposing arena. You know, I'm interested to see how does Trae Young adjust from the switch of the double drag with the pick and roll action. How are they going to handle that? Because that's coming down. There's no denying it that there's going to be a counter involved for them to try and get better open looks. Now, maybe they look at it as if you can get on Tobias, let's take advantage of that more. I thought Tobias held his own. Now, Trae Young did have some few looks in there that he probably would have liked to have back when he did have a chance on Tobias Harris. But when they switch early and they switch with the double drag, it just changes a lot of things. And then with the pick and roll, you're getting the big man up a bit and he's playing that game or he's faking out the ball handler. Trae Young, is it going to be a floater? Is it going to be a lob? You don't know. Am I going to step up? Am I going to stay back? Kind of throwing them in for a loop, making them question what's happening here. But yeah, I'm fascinated from it. I really am. I'm fascinated to see tonight. But I think Trae Young's going to get some foul calls. If I'm a betting man, I think Trae Young's going to get some foul calls tonight. That's just my professional opinion. Christian, how about the collapse from the Avs? Interesting you bring that up, Christian. We have open ice hits coming after the show today. After Coffee with Brodes, open ice hits, the NHL podcast I do with Durso. We'll have an episode drop today as we look at the last four. There's four final teams left of the NHL playoffs. Can you believe it? And this is why, William, the stats are flawed. There are individuals, specifically the older gentlemen and the older women out there that love baseball. The win-loss just doesn't matter. The win-loss is a joke. If you think the win-loss matters, it's incredibly flawed. Back in the day it did, but now you're starting to see things change with Cy Young winners. We saw it with DeGrom. We saw it with others previous. But Williams says poor Wheeler throws 8 scoreless and gets a no decision. Then Alvarado throws a disaster of an inning and gets the win. Something seems off here. Yeah, I mean, in theory, it's all sorts of bonkers and it's all sorts all over the place, but it is what it is. Like I don't give a damn who gets the win, who records the W, who gets this, who gets that. All I care about is getting the win. And I will admit, I did not like the style of play that the Phillies played this series. I think it more shows you, if anything, my takeaway is not Philadelphia Phillies related. Now, sure, there's minor takeaways underneath, and Zach Wheeler being an ace is definitely one of them. But when you think about my number one thought after playing this series and winning 2 of those games that you had no business winning, here's my thought. The Braves stink. The Braves have a serious problem. The Braves are not good. The Braves are a disaster. That's my takeaway. This Braves team, man, their bullpen is egregious. From Will Smith to anybody else who stepped in there to try and close the door. If you're blowing games over and over again to this Phillies team, you're not a good team. You're not a good team. Freddie Freeman not being the Freddie Freeman that we're accustomed to seeing. They're just out of sync. So my takeaway from this entire series, even though the Phillies had an amazing run over the last 2 days, and Luke Williams, you're emotionally attached to that home run and the whole story that's happening, my takeaway, the Braves suck. The Braves suck. That's crazy, says, I got my money on Ben to be the first player to score to win the prop bet. I don't think that's a bad one. Ben Simmons is statistically, analytically, historically aggressive in the early stages of the game. He'll explode for maybe 6 points in the first 3 minutes and go downhill. And then after that, it's pretty much all she wrote, and he'll never look at the basket again. But if I'm going to go to the NBA and go on my DraftKings Sportsbook app, which, by the way, you can download and utilize promo code Brodes for phenomenal odds and promotions. So please make sure you do that. But if I go to player props, Ben Simmons is plus 600, Embiid plus 400. I think that's pretty telling, actually, considering when you look at the rest of the guys. Seth Curry's plus 1,000. Danny Green's plus 1,400. Vegas is basically telling you the same thing I just told you. He'll go early. Early, he'll attack. Early, he'll go for a ride. Early, he'll let it rock. Like Joel being plus 400, Trae Young being plus 550, and Ben Simmons being plus 600. He's literally third on the board. He does it. He does it. Ben's numbers in general have been going down, and there's a lot of context surrounding this because the team was different. You don't have Joel Embiid playing at an MVP level. You're in a different mentality now and all that. But if you look at him his rookie year, he averaged basically 16 points per game, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Now he's averaging 14 points per game, 7 assists, and 7 rebounds. So across the board, Ben Simmons has declined in every statistical category over 4 years. And somehow, some way, I'm supposed to be okay with that. I'm supposed to be okay with that. Creative Design says, yo, Brodes, I got a question. What's up, Creative? Or not Creative Design, sorry. Creative Damage. What's up, Creative Damage? How are you today? What are you thinking? Nathan said, I played his assist over all year. He's cooled off as of late. Okay. I feel a part of the reason is this team is better now, and we have more people who can facilitate the offense. No, the team's better. Look, I think there's a lot in play, right? There's a lot in play when it comes to that. It's not as simple as this is what it is. This is strictly what it is. Ben Simmons has just fallen off a cliff. That's not what it is. But still, you're talking about year 4 of a player that we're supposed to look at as a superstar talent. With that, there's no excuse. You're right, though. Joel Embiid is an MVP type of caliber player. So with that, you're naturally going to have him play and score a lot more points, which takes away from Ben Simmons. And there's a lot of reasons why you're not going to have that, okay? It's reality. You're not going to have it. But it's still, you declined in every statistical category. Come on. Yeah, that's fine. He's done a better job defensively, yes. But he's done a better job defensively, and he's taking steps backwards offensively. Geez, if that's enough for you, God bless you. But that's brutal. That's brutal. If you're okay with that, good luck. Good luck. Hey, we have a superstar talent who's declined and dipped in every statistical category offensively. And he's supposed to be an elite facilitator, this and that. His numbers are going down when it comes to assist totals as well. So it's going down across the board in what he's good at, too. No. Come on now. No. No. Not happening. We play better with Ben and Joel than Joel and Ben? What does that even mean? We play better with Ben Joel than with Joel Ben. I don't know what that means. Yeah, that matters though. What do you mean? Like that matters. That's a whole assist per game. Per game is a lot different. So yeah, that's a big difference. Averaging 20 points per game, averaging 18 points per game, that's 2 points. Oh, that's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. There's no defending it. Like that's my problem is now you're like we're at the point where we're defending his numbers going down. It's okay to say, you know what, he's turned the dial defensively, but I need more out of him offensively. It shouldn't get to the point where we're defending his statistical numbers dropping and dipping. That's okay. We're satisfied in saying it's okay. Why can't you admit that that's something that has to be addressed while realizing he took a step with his defensive numbers? It doesn't have to be where you defend the defensive numbers so much that who cares that his offense is going bad? No, it's both. Acknowledge the great steps defensively, but you don't have to defend his defense so much to the point where his offense shouldn't be criticized. It should be. It should be, and that's where we're at. We're at a point now where it doesn't matter because he did something else where he took a step defensively. No, it's both. It's both. This isn't just some random scrub. This is a guy that can change your franchise. Change your franchise. Yes, I mean, you're talking about a 5-game sample size, though, so that's definitely in play. I'll take a 4-year window compared to a 4 or 5-game sample size when you play a team that's under 500 in the playoffs. And this is in reference to him, Green talking about Ben Simmons and his numbers in the playoffs and what he's averaging. You're right. I mean, I'm just basing this off of 4 years, though, compared to 5 basketball games. When one of those rounds was against a team that did not wall off. You're not going to see these better teams play the same style that you saw the Washington Wizards play. So that's why. If I asked Ben Simmons for Chris Paul numbers 17 and 12, would I sound crazy? No, I think that's more realistic. 14 and 10, 14 and 12, 14 and 11. He's more of that than anything else. I mean, he's definitely more of that than anything else. I think that's more realistic. You want to tell me he's an elite facilitator, which he is. You want to say he's not going to score a bunch of points, which he's not going to. That's fine. But yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, he's not Chris Paul, but the difference is Chris Paul, with his ability to shoot a basketball and actually be a threat with the ball in his hands, it changes the dynamic of how the offense is ran. And, you know, you have Devin Booker and you have Jay Crowder and you have other players as well that help out. It's a different style team, but I understand your idea here. I understand your concept. You don't need to be scoring 30-plus, 20-plus points and being this aggressive scorer. But if you give us 16 points and 10 assists, I think we live a little bit better. Live a little bit better. Chris Paul numbers the same as the best point guard in the league with 16 years of experience. Yeah, but that's irrelevant because if you're talking about facilitation, Ben Simmons facilitates just as well as Chris Paul facilitates. They do it differently, but in terms of facilitation, it's not that crazy at all. It's not that crazy at all to ask Ben Simmons to facilitate and get those type of numbers. No, not at all. Not at all. Curry needs to stop laying bricks on the court. Yeah, I think he'll be fine though. I mean, he's a veteran. He's been around the block. You know, this is just a typical ride for a shooter. You know, you go through these phases where you're making all your shots and you're an X factor. My problem isn't really, well, don't get me wrong. There is something to be said about the missed shots, but in terms of and defensively, that's what I need to see him pick it up defensively. Now, Green says, Ben's going to shut you up tonight. What's he shutting me up? What does that mean? Like, this is my thing that I love. If Ben does something extremely well, Brodes, we told you. No. Nope. I told you. If he goes off, he defends what I say. If he has a monster game, I'm right. He's better than what he plays. So you can all be satisfied with 3 field goals. And then when he goes off, you can't say, see, I told you so. I get to say, see, I told you so. Because that's what I'm saying he can do. So Ben going off, that's not shutting me up. That's defending my point. That's defending what I say about Ben. There's more left in there. You can do better than 3 field goals. So how would Ben shut me up? There's no way for Ben to shut me up. It's a lose-lose for him, to be honest with you. It's a lose-lose. Because if he has another 3 field goal game, what the fuck are you doing? But then if he goes off, I told you. So there's no shut me up. Crazy. Alex White says, LMAO, Brodes. I just want to tell you I love you. Well, I love you too, Alex. And I love everybody else in here that hangs out with us on Coffee with Brodes every single day. Wesley says, I guarantee the problem with Ben's statistical decline is what has been asked of him to do this year. Different system. I agree. No, I agree. Wesley, I agree. I acknowledge that from the jump. Different team, different style of play this year with spacing. You have more shoot. But then you would think the numbers would go up with the assist at least because he's finding Seth Curry. He's finding Danny Green. He's giving the ball to Joel. Then Joel shoots a mid-range jumper after a jab step. Things of that nature. You would think the assist numbers would go up, but I agree. You're playing a different roster. I'm not saying that, but you know, when you look at what Ben Simmons was supposed to be for this franchise 4 years in, the fact that we're even this is why it's going down. It shouldn't even be that way. It shouldn't even be that way. It should be there's clear-cut evidence of growth, and there hasn't been. It's been steady, the same play. If not, this whole nonsense of Ben, you don't like. I think Doc truly believes that Ben doesn't need to do it, and that might be the downfall here because it seems like Doc Rivers is just saying, Ben, don't listen to them. Ben, don't listen to them. Us against them type of mentality, and I think it's hurting Ben more than it is helping Ben. Michael says the bench is key to the series. Yeah. And guess what? If I'm just going to analyze the 2 benches, I think that the Atlanta Hawks have a better bench. I do. I'll take Gallinari. I'll take Herter. I'll take Lou Will. I'll take their bench over Dwight Howard, over George Hill, and over Shake Milton. Now, Matisse Thybulle is a different type of beast for sure, but I like their bench more. I really do. I think that they just give you more. You know, I've been through this so many times of what the other guys give you, but William says, is Shake revived? I don't know. You don't play as well on the road. Bench players statistically do not play better on the road. So they've already kind of struggled at home. They got 0 points in the first half of the second game. They were getting waxed and abused in game 1. So if we're just going to analyze what they did at home, what are they going to look like on the road? I would argue that it's probably going to be worse. Wesley, we know, we got it. But this is what you're going too heavy one way. We got it. Ben Simmons has taken a step defensively. You can still acknowledge that offensively has not been good enough. And you don't have to go to the extreme of defending his defense to not criticize another part of his game. Lou Will and Trae Young taking a trip to Magic City before the game. I think the Sixers are too. That's my problem. With the rest in between game 3 and game 4, I think there's going to be guys hitting up the strip clubs, hanging out. You know what I'm saying? Getting some wings, hanging out with some women. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? George Hill has stepped up. Yeah, I thought George Hill, he just does things that, they don't pop out as, wow, George Hill, but they matter and they're so important and they're so beneficial for a ride. So just the little tiny intangible stuff out of George Hill, which is always, always important. You need that type of player on your roster. And I think George Hill helps calm down the second unit, although the second unit is kind of for a riot. But when they do go on a nice spurt, and when they do throw George Hill in there when it's not fully bench guys, and he does little things. He does little things. You'll take Maxey and Thibault for what? Over what? Over their bench? Herder and Gallinari has given you more than Maxey has given you. That's for damn sure. I think that if I'm looking at both benches, I like the Atlanta Hawks bench better. I just think that there's more versatility there than there's more flaws on the Sixers bench than there are the Atlanta Hawks bench. You're limited with some of your players with the Sixers bench in a unique way, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining that perfectly, but I've been through this before. Dwight Howard gives you nothing offensively, and he just stands there on the low block. There's an energy factor, but Herder, Gallinari, Lou Williams, these guys can score for you. Matisse Thybulle can't score. George Hill can, but he's just like a nice, solid veteran. Gallinari, Herder, Lou Will, I think they got more that can explode off the bench than what can explode off the bench. More reliable. They're more reliable in terms of being able to score for you off the bench than the Sixers have scoring off the bench, is basically what I'm trying to get to. But I do think that Lou Will does look to have a step lost, if you will. It seems the age, father time, might be getting to Lou Will a bit. Still has enough left in the tank. You can squeeze a bit more out of Lou Will. I would take Lou Will over George Hill. The thing is, George Hill is more of a calming presence, but I think Lou Will, you need some help scoring, I think, more. The offense gets quiet. The offense is stagnant. It's boring. It's slowed down. It doesn't create enough, and Lou Will can create his own shot. So I think Lou Will can do that better, and I'll take that because I think you need help scoring off the bench. That's something that is strong, and that's why when Maxey's out there, we're wow. And when Alec Burks last year, wow, look at this. It's something that is all around the NBA, but the Sixers just lack it. No, you're not at the point where you just give our young players a chance to grow. No. You're in a window to win a championship. There's times for that. There's teams. For example, the Atlanta Hawks. Go play, learn, fight, scratch, crawl, and you live with that. You live with whatever the outcome is because you're the underdog, and this is a growing experience. Sure, there is growing pains involved for young players like Maxey, but this isn't the time where you think, just let them play, let them learn. No. This is do whatever it takes to win. If Maxey gets 0 minutes and you win the basketball game, that's more important than the game getting close, but at least Maxey got 15 minutes of run so he can grow later on down the road. This is not the time to give them a chance to mature. This is the time where I don't give a damn if you don't play. I don't care if you don't sniff the court. I don't care if you don't get 1 second to dribble the basketball. We need to win the game. It's about winning the game. It's not about growing at all. I think Tobias Harris and Chris Middleton are almost like the same tier player. And it goes back to, and I think it's a fair discussion to have, is a team with Chris Middleton as your secondary player, is that a championship team? Do you win a championship if Chris Middleton's your number 2 guy? And I think you can make the argument no. I think that's a fair argument to make. I think Chris Middleton and Tobias Harris are literally almost a very similar style of what you get out of them. They're not the same exact player, but what you get out of those two players, they're in the same exact tier. I look at the Milwaukee Bucks and I say, are you going to win a championship with Chris Middleton being your secondary player? Well, then I think you can ask the same thing of with the Sixers, because Tobias Harris is really your secondary player, if you will, your secondary closer and all. Do you win a championship with that? I don't know. I don't know. The difference is Giannis is not playing at a Joel Embiid level. Joel Embiid, this is the best thing we've ever seen, and probably the best thing we will ever see as a fan base. It's going to get a lot harder to find someone better than Joel Embiid in his presence. So, Joel might be able to just take this thing, and that's what superstars do. You win because of players like that. Yes, secondary scoring matters, and superstars are going to somewhat wash each other out at some point, and then maybe the bench becomes the conversation. But that's the key. If you don't have the washout, the Kevin Durant / Joel Embiid washout, well, then what are we talking about here? You need that before you even talk about that secondary conversation. So with Joel, I mean, he might just say, I don't care what people say about Toby or Ben and this and that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And that's what special talents do. I would agree with Random Gamer. Chris Middleton and Tobias Harris, I look at more as third options than second. No doubt. If you had Joel Embiid, and I'm just hypothetically throwing this out there, right? If you had Joel Embiid, let's say you traded Ben Simmons for James Harden with some other picks, Danny Green or whatever, and you had Joel Embiid, James Harden, and Tobias Harris, I feel a lot better about Tobias Harris. And I like Toby. He's stepped into a great role this year. But I'm just saying, I do agree with that assessment that I look at those guys as more of a 3 on a championship team. But when you have a player like Joel Embiid, it's a different type of beast, and they can take you farther than you probably should go. And Joel's just constantly giving you 40 on one leg, and we're just pretending like that should be normal. But it is for Joel, and he's made it normal because he's done it consistently due to his change of mentality and his work ethic and his determination and buy-in factor. So he's just been incredible. But it's second nature to us now. Like, oh, yeah, Joel's getting us 40 on one leg. Okay, now what? Now what? Oh, that's not normal? Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was. Who's the second best player on the Sixers, Ben or Toby? They both do different things, and they have the same impact on the team, I think. They just do it differently. Ben does it defensively. Tobias does it offensively. And then defensively as well. I mean, he does. I think they both have the same impact. They just do it differently. So it just depends on how you look at it. But I think they both have the same impact. This team without Tobias Harris, and they have Ben and Joel, they're going to struggle. This team with just Joel and Tobias without Ben, they're going to struggle. They both bring an element to this team that is very important and very valuable. But I think it's both. Superhero says Tobias right now, and it's not close. I disagree. I think it is close because now you're just downplaying anything that Ben does. No, Simmons is not like Giroux, Christian. Christian asks, is Simmons like Giroux? The fans either love or hate him and think he's the sole reason. Not even on the same level. Not even on the same level. Simmons is by far, way more criticized, and deservingly so. Deservingly so. Evan says, give me Tobias. Tobias is a better offensive player and is still a solid defender. Not as good as Ben defensively. So Evan wants to go with Tobias in that situation. I don't think it's that easy. I don't think it's that easy at all. Well, I guess a lot of people do, though. Superhero, to me, Tobias has shown 3-level scoring ability, great rebounding, and he's shown secondary playmaking ability as well as the defense. Yeah, I'm not discrediting that. That's why I think that tells you, though, the fact that we're now having him on the same level as Ben Simmons in terms of importance as the secondary player on this team does tell you everything you said about Tobias. When you talk about his layers of scoring, the ability to realize a mismatch. He attacks the mismatch, which is something Ben Simmons doesn't do. That's, it just shows the IQ of the game and the less dribbling and realizing when he can explode. And I'm with you. I think that tells you everything you need to know, though, about the growth of Tobias is the fact that now I'm questioning who is that secondary player. That's kudos to the play of Tobias for sure. Andrew thinks it's Tobias as well. I don't even think Ben is better than Tobias right now. It's hard. It's hard to have that discussion. But, look, we got sidetracked a little bit. The Sixers do play tonight. That's the most important thing. They're going for game 3 here to take the series lead. 2-1 in Atlanta. Tobias is about 28 years old, which is when you take that big serious stride. Tobias Harris is 28. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. That's that range of you're now growing into your own and you're maturing and you're realizing what it takes. And you've been through enough playoff experiences for the most part at that time where you recognize that, you know what it takes and you learn and you adjust. By the way, it looks like some of my clothes have been shipped. I went to a little bit of Poshmark. I rocked the old Poshmark. Anyone do the Poshmark trick where you can put up your own clothes, you put up your own closet, and you sell some clothes? I went to the Poshmark route and ordered a couple things. So I'm excited. Looks like I just got my confirmation email. How about that? Give me my clothes, damn it. I want to be here now, damn it. X-ray. Embiid, half man, half God. Carlos, Ben is 24. That is correct. But here's the difference with Ben Simmons. Since 20, we've seen nothing. You need to see something. So I'm with you. I've been very consistent on this. Players need to grow. Give them time to grow. I gave Ben 4 years to show me something. Something. I didn't even demand the most aggressive jump in the world. I need something. Something. In 4 years? 4 years. Think about where you were 4 years ago. What you were doing. Did you grow in any area? Absolutely you did. Ben hasn't. He hasn't. In fact, all of his numbers have went the other way. So in 4 years, it's no longer, he's only 24. You're right. He doesn't have to be a perfect product at 24. No one's demanding perfect product. We're demanding growth in an area that was so heavily highlighted that needed to happen every offseason, where I don't know how it hasn't happened to this point, where it's the only thing on your mind. It's crazy. It really is. Superhero says, the reality of he is who he is has sunk in for me. Every role player has himself a game or games, but doesn't change their role player. Well, Ben's more than a role player. See, this is where we're going too far. Ben is more than a role player. I don't think he's worth $30 to $40 million if he's just a defensive guy, but he's more than just a role player. In 4 years, he's become arguably the best defender in the league. Yeah, he's always been one of the best defenders. He's taken a step, but taking a step defensively, and when you know the biggest hole in your game hasn't been addressed in 4 seasons, I don't understand how that can be defended. Hey, Ben, you suck in this area, and you're going to need to get better in this area over the next 4 seasons. Okay, I won't get better at all. And we're just supposed to be like, you know what? That's okay because you can defend. That's okay. That's all right. While we watched Joel go from great to elite, when we watched Joel go from unbelievable to outstanding, one of the greatest things your eyes have ever been on, Joel Embiid took that leap that Ben Simmons should take. No, stop it. It's the NBA. Yes, defense is important. Nobody's saying that defense is not important, but it's the NBA. Elite offense beats elite defense. It's reality of the situation. This is where I can't stand it. It's like we're supposed to be okay with Ben not growing because he's a good defender. It's asinine. No, it's not. No, it's not okay. That's my point. No, it's not. Now, some guys don't have the ability, though. Like a player like Seth Curry's never going to be an elite defender, but you can hold your own. So you can't demand someone like Seth Curry to become an elite defender and grow in that area to that level. But to counter, because I know you're going to say, well, Ben's not going to be an elite scorer. It's not about that. He took 3 field goals in a playoff game, had zero shots in the second half, 1 rebound. Like, that's incredibly pathetic. So Ben can be better offensively than he's showing. That is a thing. We've seen him drop 20 points. We've seen him be aggressive. He's unwilling. He's unwilling. That's the difference. If he's willing, he's amazing. So, no, it's different. Ben has hit 3 games in the last 2. Oh, dude, come on. Come on. Stop it. Stop it. You think that Ben Simmons and his 3-point game, you've seen enough out of Ben Simmons and his 3-point game that you're justifying that? That part sucked? What part sucked? What part sucked? Like this, it blows my mind how someone can defend this human being. I'm astonished. I really am. It's crazy that we're supposed to be satisfied. Answer the question, has Ben Simmons taking more threes? Yes. What, 3? 3? Okay. Jesus Christ. And when was the last time that happened? When was his last 3-pointer? 4 months ago? When teams jack up 43s a game, I'm supposed to be satisfied with 1 3 4 years ago? That's growth, Brodes. Okay, well, guess what? That is the most embarrassing level of growth, where if that growth satisfies you, God bless you. I hope you're my boss one day. I hope you're my boss, because I can kick back, do nothing. I could kick back, get drunk, smoke weed, not stack the boxes in the back. You know what I mean? Not send all the stuff I need to. If I'm in the Amazon truck and I don't do it right and I don't have to do it and I go super slow and you're my boss, you're doing great, Brodes. Why, thank you. No one got their packages, but thank you, because I delivered 3 packages in 10 years. Thank you. Oh, look, I mean, I'm not embarrassing. I disagree with that. That's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. I'm not embarrassing. I'm holding him accountable. Brett Brown, I was told Brett Brown did not hold this man accountable. And here I am holding him accountable. And I'm the one getting blamed. How dare I? How dare I hold this man accountable? Amazing. All right, everyone. Always fun. Always fun. William says, what would there be to talk about if Ben Simmons was not here? That's a great point. That is so damn funny. Oh, man. I love it. It's so funny. Brodes and ranting about Ben Simmons. Name a better duo. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. It's always fun. It's always fun. It's always a fun time here. All right, everyone. I want to thank you all for hanging out with us today. It's always a great time here at Coffee with Brodes. We have the Sixers tonight. Going to be awesome. We'll have the post-game reaction afterwards. And then, we'll have some podcast over the weekend as well. And on top of that, I'll see you on Monday for Coffee with Brodes. So we have a lot over the weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Phillies, Yankees. What are they going to be like? I don't know, because I don't think they played a good brand of baseball the last 2 days, but they won. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.